Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for joining me this week. So this week I'm going to be talking about how to teach our students about ethics, and also as educators, how do we navigate different situations that we're faced with in terms of AI ethics and academic integrity. So if you're interested in exploring AI ethics with me, then please keep on watching. Okay, so in a lot of my workshops, we actually look at lots of different scenarios that we may be faced with as teachers in terms of AI use. And it could be with either pre-K to 5 primary students, or it could be actually with high school students, grades 6 to 12. And it's important that we have some kind of precise guideline or roadmap to be able to navigate different ethical scenarios. So first of all, let me show you the ethical scenario cards that I'm going to share with you now that you can use. These are digital cards that I created on PO. Okay, so here are my ethical cards. I'm going to provide the link in the comment section below. You can see I used PO to create them, and the URL is AI Powered Pedagogy, JCW, and we can randomly select a card. So if we just randomly select a card, we go on here to card 13, they're all numbered. And this scenario is a history teacher uses an AI tool to create interactive timelines and historical situations, or historical simulations, sorry. However, the AI occasionally presents alternative historical narratives or conspiracy theories alongside factual information. And I've got the page reference number to my book, AI Powered Pedagogy. And then the discussion question that you could have with your peers or with your teachers is, how might schools ensure the accuracy of AI generated historical content while encouraging critical thinking about historical perspectives? So there's lots of different scenarios. That one's about history. Let's randomly select another card. All right, this is card number 6. The scenario is a student uses AI to generate a story, any grade level, and then edits and expands it. The result is impressive, but you're uncertain about the student's original contribution and how to evaluate it. And so I discussed this in my book, AI Powered Pedagogy, Redefining Education, on pages 46 to 69. And then the prompt, the discussion question is, how might we assess creativity when students use AI in their writing process while teaching students about AI ethics? Okay, we're going to look at one more. You can see there's 16 scenarios here. Oh, here's another one. This is card number 8. The scenario is an AI chatbot designed for language practice sometimes generates inappropriate responses in a class. And this is discussed in pages 29 to 44, as well as 190 to 198. And I was talking to a teacher the other day in one of my AI-powered workshops, and they were talking about how a lot of these AI tools, when it comes to language learning, they are quite inaccurate. Because first of all, there are so many different accents when we even speak English or any language, and we want to first of all embrace all accents. It's not that we all aim for one particular accent. If we're going to be an inclusive society that celebrates diversity and cultural awareness, then it's important that it doesn't matter what accent you speak a particular language, as long as you're understood. And AI tools in terms of language development don't actually recognize different accents. And it was actually demonstrated to me in my workshop. It was 2 weeks ago in Australia, where they got an AI language tool and they said the completely wrong pronunciation. And the AI tool said, "Great job, that was fantastic." I mean, I think they were saying a completely different word. And so I would invite you to go and open up any AI language app tool and try it. Just go and say something really random after the tool tells you to pronounce a word. And I would say the majority of the time, that tool's actually going to say, well done, good job, and even though you've said completely the wrong word. And the other, I think important issue and challenge is the of accents and really trying to encourage that we should be celebrating the different accents that we have from our diverse culture and population. So let's say that you have this, it's inappropriate responses, which is what I'm talking about, that you say something completely wrong and it says it's correct. So the discussion question is, how might we utilize AI language tools for young learners while protecting them from potential inappropriate content? So it could be inappropriate content as well as not recognizing different accents, which we want to celebrate. Okay, so let's say you've come up with these cards and you've turned one around and you have the discussion question, what is the roadmap, or what are the series of steps that you could take to actually discuss this? So let me show you a framework that will help you. Okay, so here are 4 steps that we could take to actually try to work out what to do in these situations that you're faced with AI ethics. So I call this the ethical decision-making cycle. So first of all, we need to identify the ethical concern that is actually in that scenario. Then let's assess the potential consequences and the harm that that scenario could actually encourage. Then number 3, why don't we propose some solutions to that ethical concern? And then what's really important in the discussion with your peers is, why don't we develop some prevention strategies so that we don't have to face those particular scenarios and challenges. So let's have a look at some examples of some teachers who have looked at a scenario and then they've gone through the decision-making cycle. So here they looked at this particular scenario, which is on the cards. First graders use an AI tool to create their own storybooks, including generating AI images. While the stories are creative, many of the AI generated images inadvertently reinforce cultural stereotypes. And I discuss this in my book on page 171 to 188. And here's the discussion question: how can we foster creative AI storytelling while mitigating stereotypes in AI generated images? So a group of teachers worked on this particular scenario, and this is what they came up with on the left-hand side here. What is the concern? Identify the concern. Recognize the potential for AI images to reinforce stereotypes to young children at an impressionable age, which I think can be quite harmful. What are the consequences of this? Allowing these stereotypical images could lead to the development of biases in the young children, which we don't want. Now, what are some solutions then? Use the situation as a teachable moment to discuss bias and stereotypes with the students in an age-appropriate way. And then what are some prevention strategies? Use multiple generators to compare outputs, allowing students to provide feedback on the appropriateness of the images and involving teachers to provide guidance. And that's what I think we should do. I usually will compare 5 different image generators, but of course, I'm really mindful of resources, and I don't want to be just creating an image that is resulting in AI slop, I call it. But, I want to demonstrate to my students that actually look at these 5 image generators and what they generated, and then look for ones that perhaps are not so stereotypical and that reflect society and also reflect the diverse culture in their classroom. So they're the 4 stages. Let me just go back and show you. These are the 4 stages, the ethical decision-making cycle when you're faced with any kind of AI ethics problem. Okay, so today I discussed different scenarios that we may be faced with from pre-K to 12. As educators, we may be faced with different AI ethics, and how do we actually navigate and come up with solutions to these scenarios, or how do we follow some kind of roadmap or guidelines to help us navigate these situations? I've got the 4-step ethical decision-making cycle, One, we identify the concern. Two, we assess potential consequences. Three, we propose different solutions. And then, of course, we have to develop some prevention strategies to these ethical dilemmas when using any kind of AI tool. So thank you so much for joining me this week. If you have any suggestions on how you navigate different AI ethical scenarios, please put it in the comment section below. In the comments, I'll also put the links to the cards that you can use that I offer online for free. I hope that that stimulates some conversation about the importance of teaching students and for us as educators to be aware of AI ethics. And I hope to see you next time. Bye.